Okay, so today I finally took delivery of my new M2 Pro Mac Mini. I decided to go for the 16GB version and the 212 SSD, which are the base configurations for this computer. If you buy this from the Apple Store in the US, it'll cost you like $1,300, I believe. In Europe, obviously they're a bit more expensive. But opening it, going straight to the unboxing here, it's a pretty normal or pretty basic unboxing, since you only have the computer and then you also have, of course, the power cable that belongs to it. Oh yeah, and can't forget, you also have the Apple sticker, the most important thing. Sadly, there are not a lot of satisfying things in this unboxing process, since everything sticks pretty hard to the surface. But removing the bottom thing, you can see here the little Mac Mini text that you have, that you can see in the reflection. And also at the back, there's another sticker which reveals a pretty good selection of ports. You have 2 USB-A ports, 4 USB-C ports that also have Thunderbolt. You have your normal display port HDMI and a headphone jack as well. Surprisingly, that Apple still puts them in their products. Alright, and after unboxing everything, this is basically what you get from the box. A computer and a power cable. Now, after finally backing up this computer to my previous backups, we can now finally start with our first test, which will be running the newest version of Minecraft from the regular launcher, regular vanilla, no mods or anything. And the reason I'm doing this is because 1.19 enabled Apple Silicon support for Macs, and any version below that will just use Rosetta 2 and will be a little bit FPS taxing, but we'll get into that in a second. As we can see, look, it loaded in super quickly already. We're just gonna create a new world real quick. We'll make it creative so we can fly around a bit. Alright, we have already loaded in and we are in a ravine, oh my. If we press the F3 menu, we can immediately see it did drop a bit, but that's just the world loading, but we stabilize at about 80 to 100 FPS. This is with a 12 chunk render distance, 12 chunk simulation distance, and basically all the default settings that you would get when you start Minecraft. Now, if we do look into the sky, we can see that it goes up to 250, 300 even, which is still insane. And basically every frame over 60 FPS, if you're using a 60 Hz monitor, won't matter. So in my case, this is flawless anyways. Alright, next thing that I want to do is test Minecraft on the 1.8.9 version. And this is just because this runs through Rosetta, and that means it has to translate all the code for Intel over to Apple Silicon, and that can be a little bit FPS taxing. And wow, as you can see, it loaded in almost instantly. I just love this computer. But if we go ahead and create a new world on creative, we'll see how fast this loads in. And we are in. If we press the F3 menu, we can immediately see that there are the frames are definitely a lot lower compared to the previous 1.19.3 version we were just playing on. And yeah, this is just Rosetta 2 having to translate all the Intel code over to Apple Silicon. And here we'll do the same tests. Yeah, we can get we can get even more frames when looking at the sky. I don't know why that is. Probably because the lower versions don't take a lot of CPU power to run compared to the newer versions. But we also see the CPU that is being used is the Apple M2 Pro. Just on top of that, it has to translate everything through the Rosetta, which then causes, of course, the frame rate to go down a little bit. Alright, but the cool thing is that there are a few ways around it, and one of them is to use Lunar Client, because Lunar Client has support for Apple Silicon for all versions that it has, including 1.8.9, which we'll go ahead and test real quick. Alright, finally loaded up. We can now go in the same world we just tested on the 1.8.9 client from before. And the first thing that I noticed is that it looks horrendous. Alright, my bad, I had a shader selected. But as you can see in the top corner, it is going up to 800 to 900 FPS, which is a massive increase compared to the 40 to 30 to 50 that we had before. And looking at the sky, I think, yeah, we can even reach for 1500 FPS, which on this Apple machine just seems crazy to me that we can even see those numbers on the screen. Now, the next thing that I want to test on this 1.8.9 Lunar client are multiplayer servers such as Hypixel, since a lot of Minecraft players also play Hypixel multiplayer. Now, this obviously has lower frames because it's not a single player world. There are entities everywhere, there are plugins and whatnot. But if we go in a full Bedwars lobby, for example, I mean, first of all, the Lunar settings are absolutely scuffed. This is Lunar client without setting anything up. But as you can see, we still get about 150, sometimes even 300. A second ago, yeah, 300, 200. So this is definitely still way more than you need in Minecraft. Of course, since Bedwars isn't that competitive that you need a 144Hz monitor. Alright, now the next thing that I also want to test is Skyblock, of course, because I know a lot of you guys, a lot of my subscribers play Skyblock. And the first thing we can notice, yeah, the textures are a little bit messed up. I have no idea why that is. I feel like I feel like that's a setting in my computer, or a texture pack that I maybe have on, perhaps. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, now it works. But yeah, as you can see, we still get like 400, 500 frames, which is, for Skyblock, definitely way more than enough. I'd say you never need more than 60 frames on Skyblock. And if we work to maybe a full hub 1, where there's a lot of entities, a lot of players, a lot of particle effects, we still get over 100. Oh, never mind, it dropped down to 80, but we still get over 60 frames per second. And this is just insane to me. While we are on the topic of Lunar though, I also want to test out the newest version, and maybe we can see if we can throw a couple shaders on as well and test those. Alright, and we have here Lunar started up. Let's go in a single player world. I think we can go in this one. This one is on the right version. We'll let it load in, and alright, load it into a world. We can see that Lunar actually does a bit better even than normal Minecraft. We can hit 300, 200 FPS while just looking at the ground and whatnot pretty easily. If we look at the sky, of course it's going to skyrocket up again to 1500 here again, which again is just insane. But let's put a few shaders on. I have a few pre-installed already. I have complementary shaders. I have Filters Vibrant High and Filters Vibrant Light. And here the difference in FPS, I tested this before, isn't too high or isn't even noticeable. So I'm just going to test the high ones first. And this is at 1x render quality, 1x shadow quality, 1x hand depth. So the default settings also within the shaders. And if we go back to the game, we can see that it will still run at above 80 frames or above 60 frames. That's like the benchmark that that's the value that I'm going for here. Even if we go somewhere else, we load a lot of chunks. Let's try to maybe go in the Nether, perhaps. Alright, I quickly made another portal here. But let's see how. Okay, yeah. In the Nether, if it loads a few more chunks, for some reason this is even better in the Nether. We can see we get about 130 FPS even. That is amazing to see, but this already looks much better. Now, I want to quickly switch over to the complementary reimagined shaders, because these, from my previous tests, were a bit FPS taxing compared to the Filters Vibrant, and yeah, it's about half of the frames that we had with Filters Vibrant shaders. This is the Nether though. In my opinion, the overworld looks a bit better, so we're just gonna kill ourselves and hopefully get back to the world spawn. And here we are, yes. The sun, of course, is amazing in the shader and everything. It's supposed to look as Minecrafty as possible. But the one problem is, yeah, we do only have 36, 35 frames per second. But it just looks so much better. Even the Enderman with the glowing particles, that's something that Silder's Vibrant unfortunately doesn't have. Now, also the thing that you will probably notice is that it might look a bit blurry if you look into the distance. Then you have to turn up the render quality, which will definitely affect the frames by a lot. We'll turn it to 2 times. This is the best render quality that you can go for. But we only get 24, 23 frames, which you can definitely argue is going to be a lot harder to play on. But therefore, I guess this is good for screenshots, because if you look in the distance, it still looks nice and sharp. I don't know whether you can see this on the compressed footage itself. So the footage does tend to be a bit blurry anyhow, but that's just a few things to note. Alright, but what if you want to play Minecraft using a few mods or so? For Skyblock, I know many people, including myself, use a lot of mods to make the game playable even, but also normal vanilla modded Minecraft for a single player world, for instance. Well, for this, I would strongly recommend the Prism launcher, and this, since this is an amazing launcher, first of all, for loading mods. You can go into edit here, you can change all the mods that you want to use, shaders, whatnot. You have the versions. It's very customizable, and it has different instances, so you don't share the same mods folder, so you don't share the same saves folder. It's basically an entire new Minecraft folder. But let's say we want to play some Skyblock on this launcher. We're going to start this instance, and we're going to see it loading up within hopefully around 20 seconds. Give it a moment. Alright, and we are in. It took about 17 seconds to load. And before I jump into a server, I just want to say the Prism launcher may seem familiar to you, and that is because it is the multi-MC launcher, just it's a branch of it that is also made for Apple Silicon, and that's why it runs so smooth. If we full screen this, go into Hypixel, then we will start to begin to see the amazing frame rate. Yes, we have 100, actually, you know what, I'm gonna go into the video settings, show FPS, we'll have it on the top, in the top corner. Go into Skyblock, where I have all of the mods loaded. Now, first of all, this is probably still lobby 1, where obviously there's a lot of entities, but we still get above 60 frames, which is what I tend to go for in Skyblock. That's my goal, that's my value that I want to reach. But if we were to go on my island, for instance, I have a lot of farms at the bottom of my island that used to, on my old Windows laptop, run horribly. I was getting maximum 10 frames, 20 frames while in one of these farms. But as you can see, these render so well with this client and with the Apple Silicon chip that I get 150, maybe even 200 sometimes if I look a bit away. Yeah, 300, 400, yeah. The frame rate for this is just amazing. It stays above 60 frames constantly. I'll also go ahead and test this in a dungeon if we can party a frag bot real quick. We'll go to normal flow 7. And dungeons are usually a bit more FPS taxing than the rest of Skyblock because there are a lot of entities running around that you have to clear. But there, as we can see, we still have 200, 150, whatnot frames, and it's still way more than what's needed for it to be playable. Still won't have an effect on the actual frame rate since it's capped at 60 in case of my monitor. Now, after seeing all of these tests with Minecraft, you still could ask the question, why would you buy a Mac for gaming? Which, I mean, fair enough, it's a fair question, because there are a lot of other games don't really run that well, and that's where I would say that you should maybe get a Windows computer. But if you mainly play Minecraft, similar to me, then yeah, you could definitely say, why not? It runs perfectly fine. And then to all the people that use or that want to buy maybe a normal M1 or normal M2 processor, I can also say that before this computer, last month I had the M1 Mac Mini, the normal M1, and that also ran perfectly fine. That's what I backed up this computer with. So all these launchers were already on the M1 Mac Mini, and they were running at similar frames, maybe not as well, but still perfectly above 60 frames per second. And that brings me to the end of this test though. But if you still have a few things you would like me to test, I would be happy to do so. Just let me know in the comments down below and I'll test them for you. Other than that, if you did find this video helpful, I would always appreciate it if you would give this video a like. Still, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.